So, a 16-year-old boy sees a Bigfoot. And how do I know this report's true? It's because that 16-year-old boy was me. And we're going to take a little drive and do my best to recreate what happened that night in 1987. So, hopefully this turns out okay, as we are going to take a little ride and we are going to talk about my sighting in 1987 of when I saw my first Bigfoot. It's a very similar night. As a matter of fact, it'll be 37 or 38 years coming up here July 6th, so almost an anniversary of types. And then the reason why I was out here was because of the fact that I like to come out and clear my head by taking drives, especially down this road, for clearing my head, especially when I was a teenager. I suffered from depression very early. And this path, my dad would always pick me up, so it always symbolized I was going to go see my dad and get some relief from life's stresses. And as I was driving out here in 1987, the girlfriend and I had a fight. And you know, at 16, life was pretty much over when you and your girlfriend were fighting. And the reason for that was all my fault. I may have hypothetically went out on the 3rd of July, had quite a few beverages, and we had plans on the 4th of July, to which I was really no good because I had a complete hangover and every firework sounded like those little white ones that just go boom and explode. Needless to say, those plans were miserable. I was miserable. The girlfriend was miserable. The life was miserable. So the next night, obviously the girlfriend wouldn't take my phone call all day, and back then you didn't have Messenger and everything else. So about 11 o'clock, which is the time it is now, I was out driving, and we had Boston playing, which I'm not going to play the tunes because of the fact that Tom Schultz is a copyright king, and the last thing I need is a $7 billion lawsuit because it played 40 seconds of More Than a Feeling. Now, as we're coming up on the property that originally got me going in Bigfoot, my grandma's property, and I'll be posting some pictures up here of what it looks like during the daytime. During the daytime, it's just thick trees and it looks beautiful, but you'll see here coming up that when you go out here at night, it's a totally different animal. I mean, the night is really similar. I'm amazed because of the fact that it's one of those nights where you could actually turn the headlights off. And today's cars, you can't do that, unfortunately. I'm just finding out. But you could turn the headlights off and drive with the stars because you thought you were cool and everything. But, you know, one time I had the headlights off as I was driving down this road. Turned the headlights on, and it happened to be a cop coming the other way. I got pulled over, told how stupid I was, don't do it again, and I don't want to go to jail, so I don't do it anymore. Now we're coming up to where my grandma's landlord used to live, and that landlord, it was the section between his house and my grandma's house. After you would go down the path where the woods were, and that was where whatever was in those woods, Bigfoot, would hang out. Those were the section of woods where you didn't want to be. You wouldn't hear any birds. You wouldn't hear any. You wouldn't see squirrels, chipmunks, or anything like that. And as a matter of fact, it's the same woods where my uncle got lost. He just recently, since he found out I was doing the whole Bigfoot thing, came out and told his story of when he got lost. And he was gone for several hours. He hadn't told anybody really what happened, or at least the family couldn't remember, but in a recent letter to my mom, he explained the fact that while he was lost, something was following him, and it would pop out from time to time. And we are coming up on those woods. I'm just going to pull in because it is all now private property and we're not allowed to be here. But that way you can see what it looks like at night compared to the pictures that I'm going to post of what it looks like during the day And besides, who knows, maybe something will poke its head out, but I doubt it. As you can see, it's all overgrown now, but it is overgrown. There used to be a house off just to the right, and he even had an outhouse at the time. It didn't have an indoor. I guess it helps to put it in gear. That's going to look cute on YouTube. Thank you. Again, this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. So now, that's where Grandma's used to be. That's where I got introduced to Bigfoot. At least the knowledge that they were around. Now it's 1987. Fast forward a few years. Again, we're out clearing our head. And you'll see how close this is compared to where the Bigfoot was on my grandma's property to where my first sighting is, because it's literally just up the road. Probably during this time, what I'll do is post pictures of what the site looked like during the day, so you can see the corner. It has changed some, not significantly, but it has changed some. The guardrail that was originally there is gone now. There are a couple more houses around. But the corner itself is still the same grade. They've repaved it, but they didn't change the angle or anything. The only thing missing is the guardrail. So, and the guardrail they put on the other side, I think it's actually shorter than the two that were originally there. So things will look different. And if I can find pictures, I'll post them in the video here somewhere. But this area is still hot. This area's been hot since the 60s that I know of. I've heard tales back in the late 60s about some hippies that were partying, and when they came back, 8 or 10 foot, they saw an 8 or 10 foot Bigfoot and pushed the log over in front of their car. Apparently didn't want them to make camp anymore. So I'll cut that story off there. We'll deep dive that one another time, because now we're coming out to the corner, pardon the road vibration. And what happened was, I'm coming around this corner, had my brights on, and right about here I can see up on the right that there's something hunched down in the road. And as I get closer and closer and closer, it looked like at first a bag of garbage, and then I thought it was a bear. And as I got right up about here, there used to be a guardrail. Well, this is all clear cut now. I stopped. I'm within inches because I'm thinking this is a bear, so I'm going to sit there and I'm going to nudge it. If I have to get it to move. I'm going to see this thing move. And get within a few inches, and that's when the Bigfoot stands up. He squares off to my car and is standing there looking at me. He is big enough that he is just outside of my lights. The head is. I can see the huge massive chest, the huge massive arms, the legs, the torso, the shoulders, and the outside of the arms were wider than as wide as my El Camino. I had a 79 El Camino. I've got to picture it. If I can find it, I'll post it in here as well. But it stood there looking at me. Eyes were just out of the sight. I could see the eyes shine, but I couldn't see the face. The headlights hit it right about the neck. So I'm sitting there for a few seconds, and now it's like, okay, now what do I do? So what I decided to do was go ahead and hit the horn. But as I'm coming up to hit that horn, something in my head said, don't do it. And if you do it, he's going to pull you out of this car, and it's going to be a really bad day for you. So we sit there for maybe 5 or 10 seconds. 10 seconds tops, looking at each other, and I could feel like he could see right through these headlights and look deep into me. And then all of a sudden, he just turned to his left. He stepped over the guardrail, and he was gone. So, I proceed to leave, tires squealing, of course. And now I'm thinking to myself, holy crap, I've seen one. I've seen a Bigfoot. He was huge. Holy crap, he was huge, because I was lifting weights at the time. I started when I was 14, I was 16, and I thought I was a massive 165-pound behemoth. But now when you turn around and see something like that, that changes your whole outlook on what big is. pounds, all of a sudden I felt incredibly small. But I'm like, oh, it was massive. Holy crap, it was massive. I can't wait to tell everybody. And then it hit me. I can't tell anybody because it's 1987. If I come out and say I saw Bigfoot in 1987, the insults, the ridicule, the jokes would be non-stop. My dad was a jokester. He had a very dry sense of humor. My whole side of my mom was if it's a joke, it's funny, it's fair game. So we lived in a haunted house that I had an experience. And it took almost 8 years before they believed me actually what happened, and that was only because the experience repeated itself to somebody else. So then I got an apology about, being made fun of all those years. But it did teach me back then that I couldn't open my mouth about seeing a Bigfoot. So that was 1987. This is what sparked my interest in the Bigfoot. I would watch nobody could understand why I would watch every show and grab every book I could find. Well, it's because I saw one and I wanted to understand it. Now, like in the last video, I tried to break it down a little bit. What happened? What happened to, and why did I get to see this Bigfoot? I think it genuinely was crossing the road when I came around because it was a very odd time of night to be doing that. It's 11:30 in Lake Ann in 1987. There's nothing going on. And so what it did was crouch down to try to look small, hoping I was either going to turn or just drive by it. It was only my curiosity. It didn't move until my bumper was within inches of this thing, which put me back 5 or 6 feet because I'm in the driver's seat of the car. So I genuinely think he was just trying to hide, and I busted it. He stood up and squared off. I go to honk the horn, and he lets me know he's going to bust me if I honk that horn. And he steps off into the darkness. So that's my account of what happened on July 6th, 1987. And this is, if you would please, hit like, subscribe, share it with your friends if you like this encounter. This is a little different way of doing it, but I thought it would be a cool way because then everybody can see exactly what happened and how it happened. And the only thing we were missing tonight was the Bigfoot and a 16-year-old boy instead of a 53-year-old man. So, with that, we'll call it a good night and talk to you next time.